Quran in the toilet. The Quran, of course, is the Muslim holy book, and any kind of mistreatment of it is deeply offensive to devout Muslims. But twice last fall, someone left copies of the Quran in public toilets at Pace University in New York. Just 4 days ago, police using surveillance pictures tracked down a suspect. He is Stanislav Smulovich, a 23-year-old Ukrainian immigrant who was a student at Pace last fall. He is now accused of criminal mischief as a hate crime. According to the police report, Smulovich told them he was angry with a group of Muslim students after a recent disagreement. Well, his prosecution raises all sorts of questions about the definition of a hate crime, the limit of free speech, and if some people are too worried about offending Muslims. Best-selling author Christopher Hitchens asked that very question in a piece for Slate magazine, saying, "Nothing repels me more than the burning or desecration of books. But when I check into a hotel room and send my free and unsolicited copy of the Gideon Bible or the Book of Mormon spinning out of the window, I infringe no law except perhaps one concerning litter." Christopher Hitchens is also the author of If God Is Not Great, How Religion Poisons Everything. He joins me now, along with Ibrahim Hooper, the National Communications Director of the Council on American Islamic Relations. Good to have both of you with us tonight.
Thanks for having me.
So, Mr. Hooper, I'm going to start with you tonight. First of all, the university officials called this nothing more than vandalism, but after pressure from Muslims and Muslim groups, that was elevated to a felony hate crime. I want to put up on the screen what the definition of that is in New York State. It states hate crimes do more than threaten the safety and welfare of all citizens. They inflict on victims incalculable physical and emotional damage and tear at the very fabric of free society. Can you tell us tonight where any physical damage was done or emotional?
Well, first of all, this person didn't do it to his own copy of the Quran. He stole Qurans and did it in an act of intimidation. If he had done this in his own home or, you know, on the public square as an act of some perverse free speech, nobody would care. We get, you know, reports all the time of Qurans being desecrated. But when it crosses the line from free speech to acts of intimidation, that's when you get into a hate crime. But who was he
intimidating by his actions?
He was specifically targeting the Muslims on the campus to intimidate them. And we have actually had reports to our New York office that students, Muslim students, have withdrawn from the university because of the hostile atmosphere created by not only this act, but other acts of hate.
All right, let's bring Christopher into the discussion now. You don't think this is a hate crime. In fact, you went so far to ask the question in your piece, quote, why are we so scared of offending Muslims?
Yes, well, the two things are very much connected. First, contrast the semi-literate language of the statute you just read out from New York State to the very lucid and beautiful language of the First Amendment to our Constitution, which guarantees the right of freedom of expression. That may very well involve, and in fact was designed to protect, criticism of religion. May be expressed in a very vulgar manner in this case, but if I don't like a book by James Joyce or Karl Marx or Ayn Rand and I decide to spit on it or hurl it around, it's not the sort of thing I'd be likely to do, but it's nobody's business legally.
But if you take that same book,
it's not a hate crime. It's nothing to do with intimidation.
And use it as an act of intimidation. I'll give you an example. Someone sent us video of a Quran. Sent us video of a Quran being shot. That wasn't a hate crime, but that same person took the Quran that was shot and threw it at the door of a Tennessee mosque in an act of intimidation. That's when it crosses the line into a hate crime.
It's not. I'm sorry. I'm very sorry, Mr. Hooper. I don't see where that's an act of intimidation. It may be
when you go to a house of worship and intimidate them using desecrated
I suppose I'll have to just wait my turn.
All right, but let's Christopher, bring it back to Pace University.
I think I'm sorry.
You're saying there's no evidence that those students.
Ms. Zahn.
Yeah.
Ms. Zahn, I'm sorry. I thought that question was for me.
Well, carry on about
from you, not from Mr. Hooper. The second thing is this: as the leader of an American Muslim lobbying organization which defends, for example, people like the crooner Cat Stevens, who under the name of Yusuf Islam has publicly called for the murder of a novelist now living in New York.
He never did that, and he has explained
Mr. Hooper would be much better employed in attacking what really is intimidating, which is the awareness among everyone in this profession, including CNN, which told me last year that it wouldn't run the cartoons from Denmark because it was afraid for the safety of its bureau chiefs. Let's see where the real intimidation is coming from. As long as this kind of thing is licensed in the name of religion, Mr. Hooper, you're going to have to expect that people can also be offended. You won't just be the only one to say that you're shocked or upset. Some people will say that they are fed up with religious bullying, and it's high time
by the way,
they did, and high time you got used to it.
Mr. Hooper, don't you acknowledge in the wake of 9/11, there are a lot of Americans who are afraid to cross Muslims?
Well, I think we should treat every incident equally. If there was a Bible that was desecrated...
But you didn't answer the question.
What? Well,
do you think Americans, by and large, are afraid to offend Muslims?
I think people should not offend each other, no matter what the faith they are. I think we should try and get along and not cause as much problems for people of other faiths.
I know, and every day in Iraq, mosques are blown up, not by Christians or atheists
I'm not
or Jews.
in Iraq.
Every day in Iraq, they're blown up by other Muslims, and your organization doesn't protest about it.
And we've issued countless condemnations of those kinds of acts.
All right, gentlemen, I want you to stand by because I'm going to bring you back into another part of the discussion. Christopher Hitchens, Ibrahim Hooper, please stay right there.